Okay, so what we're working on now is I've got these batteries. I have 4 batteries total, and I might eventually get more, but I have a whole bunch of Makita tools. And what I'd like to do is, once I charge them, have them staged somewhere. Right now, I just kind of stick them in a shelf, but I kind of want to make something to hang them on so I can clip them onto the side once they're done. But for now, what I want to do is figure out how I can get these to mount so that I can have them staged. Let's get started. I start by taking some measurements and laying everything out on the board. Then I start making some undersized cuts, checking my fitment along the way until it fits perfectly. Take the 2 spacer pieces, tape them together, and cut them at the same time. That way they come out identical. I tape everything together for a quick dry fit before gluing. Here's where I run into my first issue. The battery has a slight lip to it, and when it's pressed flat against the table, it doesn't fully engage into the slot. It's a pretty easy fix though. I just chamfer the edge a little bit so that it allows that lip in the battery to slide up onto the top of the holder. Now I'm ready for glue up. I use a chisel to clean up any extra glue or any of the pieces that aren't perfectly flush together. The fitment looks good, so now I use the chisel to chamfer the rest of the slots. Here's where I ran into some issues with the plywood having some voids and some extra glue inside, but it doesn't really matter. After a quick test fit, I sand everything down, chamfer the rest of the edges, and take it over the bandsaw to cut off the excess. And then I give it a sweet coat of paint. Countersink some holes for screws, and then mount it to the bench. And here's where I ran into a big problem. The bench legs that I had made were from a scrap piece of fence, and so nothing on it was straight and flat. It works as a leg, but it doesn't really work as a flat surface. I tried to chisel some of it out, but it was just too much work, and it would have taken a long time to get the whole thing nice and flush. Since I still had some of the plywood left over from that original piece, I figured I could just use that to make a backer plate for it, and then mount that whole thing to the bench. I glue the new piece on, clamp it, and let it dry for a few minutes. I don't let it fully dry, and I take a razor blade, a chisel, and some X-Acto knife blades to help clean out some of the edges. The glue's still a little soft, so it makes it a little easier to clean up. I can then clamp it back together or just mount it to the bench and let it fully dry. Alright, here's the final product. It works, so it'll hold the batteries. It's not the prettiest thing ever, but it gets the job done. I have a feeling that the paint is going to wear off on these edges, especially where it rubs up against the battery. So we'll see down the road if I want to repaint it or just leave it go. No one's ever going to see it. I think if I were to do this again, I'd probably end up using something like this, a nice solid piece of wood, and end up routing the grooves on the inside. That would help make it a little sturdier, and it would probably look a little nicer in the end. But it works, and that's all that matters.